All right, everyone. This is Zach Lowy, co-creator of Breaking Lines, and I'm incredibly excited to be speaking today with one of the most exciting coaches in Portuguese football right now, Gonçalo Feio. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the words. Very excited also to be part of this conversation for a totally new market, and yeah, looking forward for it. Thank you for the invitation, for the interest.
So let's talk a little bit about your childhood in Lisbon. Obviously, you spent some time in the academies of Benfica and Belenenses. What was that like for you? I know that at the time Benfica were, revitalizing into one of the most cutting edge academies in Europe. Did you get a chance to experience that or not really?
Yeah, I'd say quite soon I understood I would not be a great football player. I knew I understand the game well. But I understood that for me to arrive to the biggest level, to the highest level in football, I would rather try a different path. That's a little bit how it was born on me, the passion for coaching. And I have to say, even if I realized quite soon I'm not gonna be a great football player, I've also realized I have influence on people and I can help people, inspire people, motivate people towards a direction. Things that I've been confirming as a coach, I have to say.
For sure. And I think that, the year in particular that you were born kind of makes for an interesting childhood, right? Because when you were kind of a little kid, Portugal were not so good. But as you started getting to your teenage years, right, we saw them competing, going very far in European competitions. And of course, a lot of players establishing themselves in the biggest teams in the world. What was that like for you? Did you kind of feel like as you were growing up, this tiny European country was starting to compete, starting to prove themselves as one of the best.
Yeah, I think, the football passion and community was always there. Uh, but it's true that by a knowledge-based approach, in fact, in the last 20 years are the years where Portugal became actually the biggest provider of players and coaches to the top five leagues in Europe. Um, and I think that wave connected with, of course, two people in the front line, or a couple of them, because we cannot forget Figo, we cannot forget Rui Costa, but of course, um, Cristiano Ronaldo did a lot for Portuguese football. And regarding who I've become as a coach, I have to mention that for my generation of coaches, Mourinho was a huge influence and inspiration because he was the first guy coming out there showing that not just training and playing is a methodology, but also your leadership is a methodology, your communication is a methodology. So I would say that first big name coming with a holistic approach to what is to be a football coach. And he was a huge influence and inspiration for my generation of coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, and after a few kind of hot and cold spells for Mourinho and teams like Fenerbahce and Benfica, he is going back to Real Madrid, a team that is spending massively in the transfer window and really building up for a big season. What are your thoughts on his return to the Bernabeu? How do you think he's going to do?
First of all, I wish him good. I mean, he was an important inspiration in my life, and he is a Portuguese coach. Opened so much door for Portuguese coaches, so much doors and routes and path. So I wish him all the best, like I always did. And then it's all about alignment, you know. I think in a club where there is an alignment between what the community and what the club and what the team is searching for and needs, and who is the coach, his methods, his people, his staff. When that when the standards to be settled, the principles to be settled, the culture of work to be settled, when is the line between these two identities, the club and the coach, then projects have everything to work. So very, very curious and excited to see this new Real Madrid, not just because of the new signings, uh, some of the best players in the world, but also to see that match. So the realignment again between Jose Mourinho and Real Madrid.
You were 20 years old when you left Lisbon for Warsaw. How important was it making the move to a different country, going outside of your comfort zone? And why do you think that you've spent so much time in Poland since then?
Yeah, it was huge, but it was me doing what I do, which is search for my luck, search for opportunities. Don't wait the luck to arrive, but I want to be the guy driving my own path. So going to Central Europe to know different cultures, different football environments, Poland, close to Germany, close to Scandinavia, it was something huge. And then, yeah, being there, just to finish a couple things of my bachelor in Portugal. So I had like two topics to finish the university, and having lots of time and wanting to be involved in football, I just went to the biggest club in the country. If I can be part of the academy, just understanding, knowing, like kind of an internship, not wanting money at all. It's funny because the first steps in there was like the mornings I was giving Portuguese lectures to have some money as a student, afternoons spending in the club to see to 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 realize what are they doing, how are they creating football players, and sometimes in the weekends traveling to watch different games, also in Bundesliga and different leagues around. So very enrichment process in there, and I couldn't be further of imagining that I'll spend 1.5 decade in Poland and that I'll have different roles and that my spell in Poland will drive me to coach the biggest club in the country. So from actually an internship in the academy to become the head coach in Legia, with other steps and clubs in between, it was kind of a huge journey and a football country I will always be related with, and where my family is from there. So it's yeah, kind of a journey. Yeah.
After assistant gigs with Wisła Krakow and Xanthi, you spent 2 years with Rako Częstochowa. Do you feel like you were able to help them sow the seeds for their recent success?
So yeah, after the my academy work in Legia, and me being assistant analyst for the first team with Henningberg, uh, Polar Johansson in the first team, it came time to actually come back a little bit to Portugal and then come back to Poland in an assistant coach role, where I was in Poland, in Greece, and come back to Poland, where I arrived to Raków. Raków was a club that just have been promoted to Ekstraklasa, the high star in Polish football. And yeah, being assistant coach there was important. Was very important years in the growth of the club and of the team. I mean, not just the comeback to extra class after decades, but also the first title, Polish Cup, the first Polish Super Cup, first time fighting for titles in the second and third season, because I was actually there 2.5 years. So yeah, it was a really important time for the club, and I'm very glad I was part of it, and I actually had a important role in that growth of the club that today is one of the leaders, I would say, in Polish football, playing Europe very often.
After your spell in the knockout, you went to Motor Lublin, who were bottom of the Polish third tier at the time. You ended up leading them to promotion. What do you think were the biggest keys behind their turnaround?
Yeah, Motor. So it was my first head coach job. I could start from the first hire. I had proposed after my influence and then my job in Rakov, as we just mentioned. But Motor was a club where, with the owner, I was able to build something. You know, for me, to build a football team is much more than go out to do some team talks about tactics, some trainings, and compete. It's not about that. It's creating the right culture, having the right structures around, and I think this was what we were able to do in Motor. So, like you say, after 11 games in third tier, they were bottom of the table, and we could manage to promote in the same year, and the next year again. For sure, we'll arrive there. But so I would say the key was exactly this: the alignment between me and the owner, and us doing steps in order to have a balance between high demands towards the team, towards the staff, towards the workers of the club, everyone, and high support. So actually, a club that gives work conditions, that gives for the team training conditions, that gives professional staff to develop players, and this growth of the working culture and professional high performance environments and mentality in key moments were the most important. And I think after leaving for the biggest club in Poland again, so for Legia, they continue the same procedures, protocols, growing the structures like we've been doing, and this is what leads the club to a certain consolidated position in extra class till nowadays.
And let's talk a little bit about your return to Legia. Obviously, it's one thing to do it with the youth team, another thing to actually take charge of the first team. I know you said the three most difficult jobs in Poland are the prime minister, the manager of the Polish national team, and the manager of Legia Warsaw. What was it like taking charge of such a high pressure job?
Yeah, the context in there was exactly the scrutiny around it, you know. It was definitely an experience. For me, um, a young coach, knowing the environment, knowing the culture, knowing the club very well, because I spent 5 years in there before. It was huge. I was very proud of it, and yeah, the scrutiny around it was huge, but it was something I had to learn to live with. And you know, when you represent such a huge club, it's not just good things coming from it, because there are great things. Full stadium every game, playing in front of 35,000 when you play home, playing cup finals in front of 65,000, playing European competitions, going to Stamford Bridge, playing Betis, and so on. That is the great part of it, working with great football players. And in a structure that just the staff was more than 50 people, so that's the great parts of working in such a big club. But then there is the other part that are not so positive. And in the same way we have the love of the fans when we're winning, and the praise of the media, we need to know how to deal with criticism and people not being happy when we're not winning, or at least we're not performing. So I think it's part of the package, and because I really want to have a career where I coach clubs with huge fan base, historical clubs, and where this I don't like the word pressure, because I think it's motivating. I don't feel it like pressure at all. Yeah, it's something I want to have: full stadiums with all the good and bad things it comes, and clubs that have a word to say. And that also brings good and bad things that the coach and the person needs to know how to lead with.
You spent 15 months at Legia. You led them to their best European finish since the 90s, and you won the Polish Cup. What are your biggest takeaways from your time there? How would you rank your time at Legia on a scale of 1 through 10?
I think a solid seven, I would say. Never thought about it in this way, but so I think first of all, of course, that European campaign starting from the qualifiers, we or actually starting from taking the team in the last 7 games, the team outside the European spots, and having 7 games in the end of the season just to qualify them to the top three, because otherwise would not be in Europe. Then to finally have the preseason with the team and play 3 qualifying rounds where one of them was against Brandby, one of the best teams in Scandinavia, was a really tough opponent. Then in the league stage, beating teams like Betis, Sevilla, or going to Omonia, the actual champions of Cyprus, going there, win 3-0, and have a spell of the first 4 games, winning all four without conceding goals and having us qualified after 4 games for the next stage in the first eight was special. And then, of course, to beat Molde again, another Scandinavian Norwegian team, very strong, and then ending up winning in Stamford Bridge, which was actually a sweet and sour night because yeah, we won in Stamford Bridge, but 20 minutes of the first leg at home just put us out of the semifinals. And we are ambitious people. When we are in the quarterfinals of an European competition, we want to be in the semifinals. It doesn't matter if playing Chelsea. Of course, they were the favorites, and in the same year they were world champions in USA actually. So it's a sweet and sour night then. But not just that, not just the win in the Polish Cup, but more than that, I think 14 academy players joining the first team training model, the number of debutees, 12 debutees, the sales the club did in the end of the season. So like Jan Żukowski to Rome for 6 million, 2005 debut under myself and all the season. Then developing Maxi Oedela coming from the academy of Manchester United, making his professional debut under myself and going to Strasbourg in the other scene for 6 million. The improvement that some players had in his performance. I mean, Ruben Vinagre, the left back, best season of his career. Yoya Morishita coming from a season of 0 goals, 0 assists, ending up sold to Blackburn Rovers in Championship, making 14-14. So 14 goals, 14 assists, best season of his careers. Luquinha's best season of his career. Mark Gual, best season of his careers, and I could mention much more. Bartosz Kapuska and yeah, and others. So I think that also is very important. The way players developed and the way we could incorporate youth from the academy, which is something I really want to have with me. I come from academy football, and I want to have a look into academy wherever I'll be, wherever club I'm gonna coach. And yeah, and it's another fact is that with 114 goals scored, it was a record breaking in terms of goals scored for Legia in its history. So that was also an accomplish. Why not more than seven then? Yeah, because we didn't manage to fight for the title. I think Leg is now fifth season without winning the Polish title. And yeah, it's true that in Polish league it's much easier to do that when you're not competing in Europe because our concurrents then were played 22 games less throughout all the season, which is a big difference. But still, it's something that was left to do, and that's why I cannot give ourselves or myself a higher note in there. Yeah.
You then left Legia for Dunkirk in League Two, only to leave after 23 days in charge. What went wrong there? What do you think were your biggest lessons from your time in Dunkirk?
Yeah, once this was a short spell, I tried to be to give a short debrief, so Dunkirk is a lovely place and a charming club, and the truth is the recruitment process was super professional, and I feel super aligned with the Dembaba, the sports director, a guy that lives huge professionalism in the Premier League, and we were super aligned in terms of goals, objectives, ambition, standards. And the truth is that being there, I don't think I found that match, that alignment with the club and with what I found there. So we had a very mature talk. I mean, I asked to leave. I think was the right thing to do because I didn't saw myself in yeah, in the environment it was there in terms of the ambition of the standards we have been talking before. And I think it was very mature to be honest with the club and to ask to release my contract after a short period. Anyway, I have to say that till today, even if it was very short, I have Dunkirk players writing to me and asking for help or reminding that even if it was short, they learned with me, which is something really, really important. And till nowadays, I am in great contact with Dembaba, so the sports direct that's now is also in other clubs. So I think it was a hard decision, especially for my career, because I knew it would bring many questions. But I think a mature one and a very honest, and the way both parts behaved was very correct. Yeah.
In contrast to your time in Motor and Legia, where you were able to manage for over 50 games, you were in charge of Radomiak Radom for 10 games. What did you make of your spell there? How do you think you were able to implement your tactical methodology? And yeah, any regrets on how that went out
Mm.
or not really?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in a knowledge-based approach, I believe that longer spells allow to bring bigger results. I have no doubt about it, even if I'm the kind of coach that I believe a coach must have an impact in the culture, in the playing model, in the training model, in the mentality straight after arriving. So from the first game. So I think our start was very good. We point 2 points per game in the first five games. The team went from the 13th position to the fourth. It mean we were then qualified to European competitions, and we arrived like that to the winter break. Yeah, and then again, things that were talked before started not to be respected, and the alignment and the standards we could input in the beginning was not being kept anymore. So after a situation where I really felt not respected and the agreements we would have were not being respected, again I asked leave. I have the luck to say that I was never fired. So every time where I accomplished my contracts and I had a renewal opportunity that I didn't took, or I asked to leave. So yeah, that's what it happened. We found an agreement and I left. I think still I left with the best average of points per game in the history of the club in Extraclasa, and I left connected with the biggest sell on the history of the club, Capita Capemba to Vancouver Whitecaps, because Capita just performance amazing and the numbers he did in couple guys under myself were brilliant. So yeah, that's the two small achievements we've done. But of course, joining there, I believe the alignment and the challenge is much bigger than that.
And as opposed to your fleeting spells in France and Greece, it's fair to say that you have found two homes, one in Poland, one in Portugal. What do you feel are the biggest differences between these two countries? both in terms of football as well as their culture.
Yeah, I feel like to really answer to that, it's so complex that would have to be very long, but try to be short. So, first of all, let's understand that one is the doorstep into Russia, and another is the doorstep into the ocean and the American Brazil. And with this, I want to say, historical wise, two different stories. A story of a country that was conquered and have had to fight all his history to still be. I remind you that Poland during 123 years didn't exist, and people were keeping the language, the culture, and they had to fight back for Poland actually exist as a country. You have this story, and then you have Portugal, a country of conquerors, traveling everywhere, brave people, people that could adapt, and that I think from there comes the first big difference. Then, in terms of the leagues, it's different specifics. I mean, in Portugal, only five clubs ever were champions, and two of them only once. It means that all the other years, only three teams won it. Of course, Benfica, Porto, and Sporting. In Poland, I mean, the competitivity is so big. Everybody can be champion, and the number of clubs that was champion, the number of clubs that is fighting nowadays to compete in European competitions, it's huge. The level is much more narrowed. Then I would say Portuguese league, like we talked a little bit before, became the biggest provider of footballers and coaches into the top five leagues in Europe because of its football. I mean, the focus on the everyday work, on the game days, the focus is football. What is inside the lines? This is in the green. This is what really matters in Portugal. So this leads you to sometimes not have great stadiums, not great atmospheres with fans and so on around, but very big quality of what you have inside, individual quality of the players, tactical quality. In Poland, is different. In Poland, you have a league that from the first time I stepped into the country till nowadays, it developed from the 32nd league in UEFA rankings to the number 10. And this development was done more, I would say it's more a multi-process. So conditions to work, infrastructures got much better. Then coach education developed. Then knowledge approached, brought new, fresh mm, way of looking into the staffs, into the professionalism around football and around coaching. And yeah, this leads to a 40 million people country in the center of Europe to be able to develop its league so much. Then, yeah, I would say the economic capacity of Polish clubs is growing so much and so quick, and the quality of the coaching staffs is getting is evolving so much, both in its structure and professionalism as about their knowledge by competing in Europe, getting more experience from there. Uh, that this creates a league where every season I feel like you have more quality, more different tactical approaches, and it's a very competitive league where everybody can win it. Everybody in Portugal, it's more like the quality so much, and there is so it's the margin for a mistake. It's if you make a mistake, if you tactically you're not balanced, if you are attacking but you don't have the right offensive marking, they will punish you. I would say that there is this thinking that some leagues are very intense in terms of physicality. I would say that Portuguese league, the physicality of the players is so functional towards football. The relation with the ball, the relation with the game, their understanding is so strong that yeah, that you found a league that it's very tactical. And the answer you have, so I would say in Poland, your coaching work is much more direction on preparing your team really well in your identity in what and how you want to play. And in Portugal, you need to be strategic. You need to surprise your opponent strategical wise. You need to have the ability to change during the games because you are having the advantage, but suddenly someone changes something and you need to be ready to answer. So yeah, I would say I try to be short, but I would say these are some of the big differences. Anyway, two of the most exciting leagues in Europe and two countries that in the last couple of years have been widely represented in European competitions.
Throughout your time in Poland, including your last spell at Radomiak Radom, you were the subject of a few controversies. Do you feel like there were any cultural differences that may have resulted in you getting into trouble there? Do you feel like you were perhaps unfairly targeted as a foreign coach? And yeah, any regrets on how that turned out?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I mean, I'm a passionate leader, that's for sure. And the influence I'm able to have on people, that the players are ready to kill for me, to go into war for me, the way I can motivate them and bring the fire in them, it's through emotionality. So definitely, the heart I put in something that is much more than a job. For me, it's a part of my culture. It's the part of who I am. Then I cannot run away from mistakes I did and from bad behavior I have. I think that is a little bit uh, an experience because I was very young, and that were experience that I've learned with, and it also shaped the most mature and prepared person and coach I am today. So it's not fair to throw the fault of the scrutiny and the mediatic attention I had in Poland. It's not fair to throw it on other people. I'm responsible for it. It was my mistakes. In in other way, all I have to say that the image that was created about me in the media, the the character created, it totally doesn't match the image that, for instance, players that work with me have. So that is a gap that I feel, yeah, that it's a little bit too much. It's too different. And of course, the ones that know me the best are the ones that work with me. So with all this said, I think it's my past. It's something I cannot change. It's something I was punished for with the scrutiny and the criticism I found. But the reality is what great experiences. So the reality is that so I have a clean sheet in terms of, I don't know, charges or whatever. I have more than 70 or 80 games in European competitions, and I never get even a yellow card in European competitions. I was now in Portuguese league, and I didn't have a situation with no one. No one can say a bad word about me. I didn't never get uh, a yellow card. So I would say, yeah, it's experience. They teach me a lot, and they also make me grow. I mean, I have no problem to share that I work with a coach healer. I work in on my I don't know, emotional control and my maturity, and this work and these hard moments and this scrutiny I've been under also made me stronger and much more prepared for my job. I'm sure today I'm a better person, I'm a better coach, I'm a better leader, and this is what is it about. I want to keep doing steps forward. And as a coach, this is not just inside the game tactically or the training model. No, it's about this. It's about communication, behavior, emotional control, and I much better, much stronger. I feel good today about that.
And weeks after resigning from Radomiak, you joined Tondela. Did you kind of feel like the time was right for you to go home, or was that not necessarily a priority? You know, were you considering other teams in other leagues?
Not at all. I mean, Tondela was people asking me to save the team. So yeah, I decided to say yes. It was a huge challenge because the team was already in the relegation spots and 8 games, 7 weeks, no time to prepare, no time to play a friendly match to know the game dynamics a little bit more. So yeah, it's a challenge I took. It was I didn't even think much that okay, this will be my first head coach steps in my country. No, it was some okay, it's a challenge, it's a mission. Let's do it. And in fact, it was a very intensive process, those 7 weeks and 8 games, and five of them away, and going to Dragão to play Porto, going to Alvalade to draw Sporting the 2-2. And so it was a special moment. And to be honest, the feeling is so the average points we did per game would allow the team to accomplish the mission in the long term. And the way the performance of the team improved, both defensively and offensively, and the way some players or the players improved their performance, both physical wise, football wise, the statistics went up. And yeah, I feel like we did a decent job, and this is the most important. The team, me within this, I think it's less important. I don't think so much that okay, it was my first head coach job in Portugal. It's not something that was ever in my mind. Just wanted to take the most out of it, and this is influence and inspire everyone around, players, staff, club members, fans. And I think till certain point we were able to do that.
Yeah, really positive few months with the Oriverdes. And despite having an offer to continue, you decided to cut ties in the summer. Why did you feel like it was the right time to leave? Did you have any doubts about being able to create a sustainable long-term project with them?
Yeah, no, first of all, it was hard through the people. I know, the locker room wanted me to continue, the board wanted me to continue, the fans wanted me to continue, and the community wanted me to continue. The people you meet where you go to buy something to eat, or it's they wanted me there. That was really important for me. But then one thing in football is when parts want to continue, and I was open to that. Another thing is the way of doing things. And for me, to coach is not just about having a bench. I could have a bench to be. It's about alignment again. And when we set in the end of the season, both parts willing to continue, we just talk about very important things like philosophy, not just the goal. The goal was clear to promote again, but how we will do things. So philosophy, vision, strategy in many areas. And during those conversations that again we just found that the way the club want to do things or is able to do things at that moment, because in many things we agreed, it was different than the alignment I was searching for. So that's what took me to say no, because I think it was learning from last season where I took decisions and afterwards the alignment was not so clear. So again, a major hard decision to take in order to find again alignment and a community and the club where the vision, the strategy, and the philosophy goes more towards the standards, I believe, and what I can offer as a head coach.
Let's talk a little bit about your national team. Portugal, they had one of the most talented squads in the World Cup. They were considered one of the favorites going in, ultimately failed to show any of that talent on the pitch. Why, what do you think were the biggest tactical issues for them? Why did they underperform so badly at this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have to know that being outside from the group, we will never have the information we need to answer to that question. I mean, I don't have the actual experience of training there to see that team training, to have conversation with the players, to see how they understand their roles and execute them. Then I don't have access to data that would allow to have those questions. So whatever answer I might give, it will always be incomplete. What we know is that football is a team game, and when the team project is strong, every player performs better. And we know that with a huge amount of talent, Portugal was not able to reach levels of performance that everybody was expecting. This we know, and what about what happened in there? I don't know. I was not there. What I can say from me is that I think the first step to create a team, especially a national team, but not just, is to create a culture. So how we play, how we work, but more how we train. More important than this is what is the role of everyone in this culture. And yeah, I think different roles or different the culture of the team didn't allow everyone to perform at their best. And with players not performing at their best, of course, the team cannot perform at their best. And with this, together with a World Cup that is always a very specific tournament where there is ways of starting it. So if you see all the very intense teams, very vertical, very physical teams started the World Cup great, but later on in the World Cup, state teams where the football projects were more complex and more control on the ball, more control of different moments of the game. So I would say that with Portugal being eliminated so early, maybe didn't have time enough to grow and to mature to that phase, being a team with on the ball process and the proactive football. So yeah, I think that's two topics I definitely can touch regarding things inside the team. It's hard to say. I don't have information or enough to do that, and it would not be ethic to be commenting the work of such an experienced coach manager like Roberto Martinez.
You've already coached in Portugal and Poland. Would you consider coaching in MLS?
Yeah, definitely, definitely yes. I mean, it's very interesting for me the rules that lead to equality, you know, because with all that salary caps and a league like that is totally different than the Portuguese league, so five champions throughout all the history. It's a league that searches for competitivity. It's a league that searches for unpredict to be unpredictable, and I love that. So it's a league where actually you need to make the difference by your methodology, by your football, by your knowledge-based approach. and especially after the World Cup, where I found that I think also with Pochettino. By the way, Pochettino renewing his contract there is because it's a great country to be in, the football environment to be, because Pochettino in Europe, he played the Champions League final with Tottenham. He coached Paris Saint-Germain. So, I mean, if such a big coach is there and he's happy with the challenge in there, who would not be? And I think this is this knowledge-based approach that I think USA is a little bit more open after the World Cup and all the football courses that came in is something, and making the difference by methodology and the knowledge-based approach that we represent. I think it's something that would be a brilliant challenge for us. And if we connect that to what we represent in football, which is a playing model that inspires people playing it or watching it to be brave, to be creative, to be the best version of themselves, this is the football that has been winning. This is the football that led Spain to be the world champion. This is the football that led Paris Saint-Germain to be twice European club champion. This is the football that led Portugal to be the biggest player and coach provider for the top five in Europe. This is the football that led Norway for a brilliant spell during the World Cup. And I have to mention Norway because my assistants are from Norway, and my assistants are people that work with this generation of Norwegian football players, and they have a huge influence on the team we could see in the World Cup. So I have to mention there, and the culture they created, and the knowledge based approach they have been having, such a small country to have that spell. So with all this putting being put into the table, I think we would definitely have much to bring to American football, and it would be a passionate experience. I'm sure about it. Yeah.
You'd have to go all the way back to 1996 for the last time that a Portuguese coach managed an MLS team. Carlos Queiroz, of course. And Queiroz, he was just 36 when he started his coaching career, the same age that you are right now. How much do you feel like you've been able to develop in the first 4 years of your head coaching career? And overall, how far do you think you are? From your peak level as a manager?
Lots, lots. Not just as the head coach, but also the path before, through the youth football, that allows me now to spot talent and to be willing to develop talent into professional football, to the assistant coach years, where actually I was very close to the decision maker, but being able to learn from the decisions and the challenges of someone else, having the responsibility, of course, for the team and for my role in the team. And then this head coach years that were, it was so intense. I feel like it was 4 or 5 years, but I feel like it was 15. So if you see, you have um, promotions, you have fighting to not relegate, you have European competitions, you have fighting for titles and winning titles, you have player. You see your team selling the best players, but you also bring players from the academy and they develop them into that point. So I've been under huge scrutiny and criticism, but I've been very respected by the way I lead. I have the love of my players. I have the recognition of being a good coach, which is actually important for me. So, I mean, I feel like I have touched all the sides of the medal. And this is huge experience and so intense. So, like I say, important for me, and that's why I work on many areas of my coaching and leadership and communication, and um, it's to be better every day and to grow every day. So I definitely believe the best years are in front of me. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Because today I'm better than I was yesterday, and I'm definitely better than I was 1 year ago, and definitely better than I was 4 years ago. So mistakes led me to hard moments and hard experience, but also led me to the person I am today. And the great moments led me also to the person I have today. So it's about knowing who am I, knowing where I want to be, and follow that path, inspiring people around me, and believing that the biggest achievements and the best years of my coaching life is still in front of me.
And just lastly, Gonzalo, it's been 10 weeks since you departed from Tondela. What are you looking for in your next coaching adventure? Is it safe to say that the one main non-negotiable in your job search is you want to be a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I'm searching for a head coach job. And then again, I think, first of all, a community or like a connection with a community that we can make proud of by what we offer, you know? So alignment with a brave, creative, and bringing the best out of people way of playing football that make the people playing it and watching it inspired to be the best versions of themselves. Connection and or alignment with the mentality of the community and the club, with the vision of the community and the club, with the philosophy of community and the club. So like I said before, I could have a bench, not just in Tondela, a couple other proposal we had in the summer. So it's not about having a bench to be, it's about embracing a club's history and the club's philosophy and bringing the best out of people in there. And this is what we're searching for. And when I say we, I really mean we. So it's we and the people that work with me, my staff, because they are equally important for what we represent. So this alignment is what we're searching for. And yeah, really excited to join a project that see us and our passion in their structures. Yeah.
Gonzalo, this was an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Hope it was an enrichment experience for me, definitely. And yeah, we keep in touch, and I really want to thank for the opportunity. Thank you. All the best.